Motormouth Jenkins here, welcoming you to our brand new YouTube channel. Hope that you'll come back and see every segment each and every week, and I will share preventative maintenance tips and regularly scheduled maintenance tips for your car. So whether you know a little bit about your car or absolutely nothing, this is the channel just for you, where I share over 35 years of experience as a qualified and licensed service technician with truck and coach, light truck and passenger vehicles. Come back and visit us and tell your friends, and we'll see you each and every week right here in the Car Connection Workshop on YouTube. Hey, well, welcome friends to this week's edition of Car Connection, the Car Connection Workshop. We're continuing with yet another segment on the 1997 Jeep TJ Wrangler. We're moving forward with it. We got to get this power plant. It's previously enjoyed to 125,000 kilometers, but we're starting to come together here because next step, we need to roll this out of the shop, pressure wash the frame rails, paint the engine bay area, and then have this engine ready to drop in. We want to install it. So when you're working with a pre-owned engine, you usually don't have any history on it. And this one, other than the gentleman that I bought it through in the Toronto Vaughan area, he bought a donor Jeep to get the frame from, and he didn't need the drivetrain, so he posted stuff, and that's how we got here. It took us 4 months to find a 2.5 liter that would be with some TLC ready to go in as the donor. So we've gone through the bottom end. That's all done. Everything looks good in there. I have to say, from what I've seen so far with this motor, it's a good pick. Everything's clean inside the motor. The bearings look fantastic. So I would have to agree that this engine has very low miles. I sent the cylinder head out to my favorite machine shop that does a lot of high performance work, and they went through the cylinder head and said it's very clean. They only needed to do valve seals, touch up the valves, and prepare the head to go back on. Cylinder head is on. You'll see that in the last segment. We installed the cylinder head, torqued everything to spec. This past week, I did a few things on it, and it's valve train time. So I put some of the valve train together and some of it not, so that you can see what I do, how I do it, and how you should do it as well. I mean, you can always do things your way if you like. I'm Niall Motormouth Jenkins, host of Car Connection. I am a licensed service technician. I have a 310A and a 310T rather, and a 310S. So I can work on everything from light truck and passengers to highway trucks and coaches. So this is how we do it. If this was your engine, this is exactly how I would suggest to you to prepare it and put it in and do it once. So we've done the bottom end, checked it. We've done brand new timing chain, gear and tensioner, because you know what? You're here and it's on the stand and you can work at it. So that's all closed, torque to spec. We've got the harmonic balancer on. And here's what I've discovered on this motor is it couldn't have run worth a tinker's damn, and I'm going to show you why right now. Here's the distributor that the engine came with. You see a problem there? I'll pull the ignition rotor off. Watch. This should not move sideways, up and down, north, south, east, and west. The bushing is worn right out of the top of this distributor. It's done. So how do I know this engine ran bad? Because this wiggling around like that is going to change the ignition spark timing. It's going to change everything. Because this should have zero movement. Zero. So it will also be contacting the Hall effect pickup, which is right here. So as it spins, there's no teeth here. There's no shutter blade here. The shutter blade is back here. So as it passes through the magnetic pickup, that's when it tells it it needs to shoot the spark to the spark from the coil through the distributor to which spark plug. But with it like this, that is way off the mark. That is not going to work. So I do have another distributor from the original engine. It's pretty much exactly the same, but this one wouldn't work either being in here. So it's got 3-pin. We need a 2-pin. and I have that distributor set aside right here. You see it's tagged and bagged and not just thrown in a box getting smashed. Reason being, it's still usable. But if you just throw it into a box in a bin and pile everything else all over it, then kiss it goodbye. So that's what you need to do when you're working with pulling an old deadbeat motor out that's worn out and seen the ghost, and putting in a used engine. You treat the used engine like it's brand spanking new, and that's what we're doing. We're going through it soup to nuts, and I'll even paint the block and everything. It'll look like brand new when it goes in, but you got to put the effort in, and you got to treat it like it's brand new, not used. Some guys, that doesn't bother them, but for me, if I was doing this job for you in my service bay and you're paying, it's going to go in there. It's going to look real sweet when it goes in. So again, we'll wash this distributor. I'll check the bushings in it, and it will go into this block, and it will fit and work without any problems whatsoever. So again, save the parts as you're taking stuff off of one old motor that's still reusable. Tag and bag it and put it into a toter or a box, whatever. I've got some other boxes underneath with used parts that are still usable, and when I'm done, I'll decide what I want to keep, and then I'll do a Jeep garage sale or something and get the rest of the parts out of the shop into the hands of someone who may also have a project. And I'm not looking for any money for this stuff. It's just going to be, here's what I got. First come, first serve. Take it, go get your Jeep back on the road and enjoy it. I've got doors and interiors and all that stuff, so I'm just going to list it on Marketplace. First come, first serve. Pick it up, take it home, build your project. This is valve train, and that's where we're at with this motor now, is we're getting close, very close to plopping this in there. These are the rockers for cylinders 1, 2, and 4. 3 is missing. It's missing because I want to show you what you need to do and how you need to do it. Now, if you take a look at the top of the block here, the cylinder head, I mark each station that has valves. You have an intake valve, you have an exhaust valve. You have an intake valve, you have an exhaust valve, and so on until you get to the 4th cylinder. That's it. This is a 4-banger. So I mark my cylinders, then I move the engine to top dead center so the valves are closed, and I'm going to show you what that means and how we do it. All these components have all been washed, blown dry, and installed and pre-lubricated, ready for this engine to fire up for its very first time when it goes into the vehicle. So I'm going to walk you through cleaning a set of rockers, how you should clean them, and what it means to clean them, and what it looks like, and then installing them and how we do that and how we do it correctly. So this is cylinder number 3, and this is how, when I'm pulling an engine apart that's pre-owned, I want everything going back in the place that I removed it from when the engine was originally born. So I've used the rockers for cylinder number 1. This cardboard flat here from one of my favorite beverages, I call it ginger ale. I like ginger ale. This is represents the front of the engine. There's the front. I've installed cylinder number 1 rockers, cylinder number 2 rockers, cylinder number 3. They're all torqued to spec. They're all cleaned up. They're all pre-lubed, but I left number 3 for you and me to do it together. So you do not mix pieces up. So when you take stuff off, mark it. It needs to go back where it came from. And that includes the rockers. Don't mix this rocker up to go there. Don't turn the bridge around. I don't even mix up the push rods. I want the push rods to go back where they were when the engine was still intact. So now I'm going to clean these up. So I'm just going to place them behind me here on a little flat area that I've created for myself, and I'm going to put the valve cover up there. And cleanliness is the key. Don't leave any of your components laying where they're going to be dusty, and dust is going to lay down on them, because I'll tell you what, there's dust everywhere. When you're building an engine, I don't want any dust laying down on any of these components right here, because you want to give this engine its best possible chance to take you hundreds and thousands of kilometers without removing its legs by not taking care of it. And when I do a motor, we'll be doing another motor in the 78 Bronco we have outside, and you'll see what I mean. Exactly the same procedure. So here's how I do this. I take the rockers. I make sure they're in the same position that they came out. So I'm going to lay this like so. I'm going to take one rocker over to my kitchen sink here, and I'll show you how I do it. You can do it your way. I have this little piece of steel wool, and you go, oh, you're going to scratch the daylights out of that motor mouth. What are you thinking? This is a scrub bud. I can rub this on glass, plastic, porcelain, you name it. It will not scratch it, no matter what. It's scratch resistance. Perfect for doing this. So I want to get all this machismo, that's a technical term for stuff that doesn't belong there, machismo, and we want to get it all off. All this stuff, you want to get it off, because why? That's old motor oil residue. At least it's how I know this engine is also young. There's no sludge anywhere. Even when I took the valve cover off to expose the rockers, and I hadn't even done anything to this motor, the motor is clean, 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 inside and out. If it had mega mileage on it, when you take that valve cover off, it would be sludgy inside, it'd be sludgy all over, and it's not. There's just light residue, and guess what? It comes right off with my scrub bud without hardly any effort whatsoever. So I don't particularly want any of that stuff floating around in the engine. As I said, I'm cleaning it up as though it's going to be brand new. I want to give it the best possible chance to perform well for quite some time. I'm not one of these fellows that like to do the job over and over again. So that's one rocker done. Look at that. That looks like it came out of the box. Brand new. Okay, so that goes where? I take it and I put it right back where I got it from, grab the next one. That's why I didn't bore you with this whole thing. I've done the same procedure already to cylinders 1, 2, and 4. And you know what? You get a rhythm going, it does not take long. And you don't, again, when I'm building a motor, I don't want friends hanging around, because it's easy to miss a step. It's easy to get mixed up. So it's best that, you know what, you build it when you got the motor open and you're working on it, that you can stay focused on the job. It just, you know what, I've seen mistakes happen, and it can happen. You get, guys are talking and you miss something. So it's just best. It's just best when you're doing engine work. You got to make sure it's right. You just do, because the results are going to be, do you want to practice and pull it all back out again? Okay, so this one's all set to go. Rinse it off. Look at that. Almost like brand new. I missed a spot, sorry. But almost like brand new. And if you really look deep down inside here, you'll see shiny spots, and then there's grooves there where my pinky is. There's a groove, and there's a groove. That needs to be cleaned, because that's oil passage. Oil is going to get in here and lubricate the rocker and the bridge. So now I put that one back where it belongs. Now I'm going to take the bridge in its position. That's its position. When I took it out of the box, that's its position. I don't mess with it. Why? Because these mating bearing surfaces are mated to those rockers. It's like shoes. the left shoe's always been on your left foot, otherwise it feels kind of funny. I used to wear my shoes like that because I thought it looked cool, you know, they're bent outwards like this. You stand there until somebody notices and they go, do you know your shoes are on the wrong feet? I wondered why one wanted to go left and the other one's going right. Yeah, well, this pertains to that. These bearings have been running in their position on their own rocker for about 125,000 kilometers. And I have to tell you again, this motor over and over again is showing me, yes, it has low mileage. So I want to take advantage of that because this particular engine was not easy to find. And in fact, last night I was on a Jeep chat room site, and I got to be honest, I don't know what it is with some Jeep people. They just can't call black a black and white white. When it comes to somebody asking a question, they can't commit to a 100% answer. And all I was looking for was I just wanted to identify this 2.5 liter motor, what year of vehicle it could have potentially come out of, the donor. I didn't ask any questions about the donor when I bought this motor, so I was just kind of doing some research and I found the VIN number on it, and I just wanted to check it and see what I'm dealing with. What year is it? Because the Jeep TJ Wrangler came out in '97. My understanding, that was the first year for the TJ Wrangler Sport. So I came away with no answer. And I felt bad because there was a young lady on there looking for a 2.5 liter engine, which is that's what that is, and having no luck finding one. So we were blessed by some of our Jeep buddies happened to find it, posted, and sent me the posting right away, and voila. But that took 4 months. We were looking for 4 months. So this is clean enough. The bearing surfaces are clean, and I have not misplaced this bridge. It goes right back just like that. Now I do the push rod. So the push rods are hollow. That's where oil travels from the bottom to the top. So from the valve lifter to the rocker shaft. So I love to have these clean, and I've already checked to make sure there aren't any bent by putting them on a flat surface and checking them one at a time. They're like brand new. So again, another indicator. And it doesn't really matter on these too much if you put it in this way or put it in that way. It's really not going to make a stitch of difference. Both ends are the same. So that's how clean it should be. Looks like brand new, which is really good. So that goes back in its same position. We cleaned the last one. And then we'll get this last set of valve tappets. Some people call them tappets. I call them rockers. But you can call them tappets if you wish. There we go. Nice and clean. So what's the next step? I need you to ask, so I'm ready for that. So now we need to make sure those are blown completely dry and clear. So the push rods have a hole in either end, and you're going to see the reason why here in a minute. So we'll just get ourselves organized. Okay, I'm coming that way. I just need to get my blower, my hose rather. I got to get the hose. And what I'm going to do is just bring things a little bit closer to me now, so I'm not walking everywhere. So now we just want to make sure that this is ready to install. Are we dancing? I don't recognize that dance. Okay, so we take the push rods and we got to blow them out. Now watch this other end. Do you see the stuff come out? You got to make sure that they're clear. Get down there. Do something good. That's it. Again, watch the end. It's clear. Now you got to look in here. There's also a little spot right in here where the oil will travel through that push rod right to the very end of this rocker, and it's going to spit out this side, and it's going to oil the bearing surface that the bridge sits in. So that's how that works. Oil's going to get pressurized, come up through the push rod, out through the top of the rocker, and it's going to spew in here. And that keeps it lubricated. So you got to make sure, put that up to the light, you can see that hole is fully cleared. That is so critical because you do not want the engine firing up and there's no oil going to the surfaces that need oil and need to be lubricated. Again, same thing. Make sure you can see that hole is clear and there isn't a nugget of anything stuck in there. Okay, so now we're ready for the next step, which is we're going to install those two rockers. That's why I did the other 3 cylinders and saved this one just for you, so you can see how to do it. All right, next we need our torque wrench. I'm just going to cover up. I'm a little bit of a fusspot. I take care of my stuff. I can't help it. It's just the way I am. That's from my military instructor. You can be a mechanic and you don't have to be a slob. That's what he'd say. You don't need to be one of those mechanics. I've worked with some of those where their tools are on the floor, they're tripping over their air hose, they leave, finish with a socket, it goes on the floor. So what we want to do is, if we need some pre-lube, because when this engine starts, I'm going to crank it quite a bit anyways and get oil pressure up, but I don't want any dry start area whatsoever. So again, if you're doing the job and it's your motor, you are welcome to do it your way, but in these videos I'm showing you how it should be done. So now we need to put some lube in our rocker. Again, so there's no dry. No dry. And you might be saying, well, you just covered up that little hole. Well, when the oil pressure comes through at 60 psi, guess what? It's not going to be a problem. So we put our jam on there. Let's get some jam on there. And again, cleanliness. You don't want to walk away and leave a container of a specialty lube open to dust and grit, because then throw it in the garbage. It's no good to build a motor with. It's contaminated. So you put a little jam on there, put a little jam in there. Okay, so now put that one there like that. Then we're going to lube the bridge. Very important. Like I said, this isn't a brand new engine, but it's my engine. And if it were your engine, I'm going to put it together just like this. I'm going to go through the whole thing and make sure we're in really, 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 really good shape. So now I'm going to mate this back up, just like so. Everything is back the way it came off. Just like that. Push rods, it's not all that critical. It's critical, but not all that critical. So we put it this way, and we get our thread started. And then I'll show you, you don't just tighten this down. You got to make sure the engine is in the right position. Otherwise, on some engines, these bridges are not made of steel, they're made of aluminum. And if you torque them down one side before the other, they blow apart right in the middle, right before your very eyes. And then you got to buy rockers and bridges. That's how that works, because they need to mate together. You don't put a worn bridge, because there'll be wear on this. You don't put a worn bridge in with a new rocker. That's not how that works. Okay, so I always like to put a little lube on the bottom, because we do not want an engine cranking over even when I'm still assembling it dry. So we're going into the lifter, and it's way down there because it's way stinking down there. Where did it go? There it is. And you can feel it. Roll it in your fingers. And then I'm just going to lift that up, slip that in. This one as well. We're going to get that down into the lifter. And I can feel it. It's in the lifter. Use a light if you need a light. But I've done so many of these, I can feel it. Roll it. Make sure you know you're in the lifter. Then I'm just going to snug this down so my push rod doesn't fall out. Now I need to make sure that my valves are closed. They should be, but I always like to check. Those bolts, they're there for a reason. They have something to do with the head. And I think those bolts go right here. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking out loud. I put them along with the head stuff because they probably go right here. There's two, and they're exactly the same. That's why they were in that box, because it had everything to do with the cylinder head. That's why they made it to that box as well. Okay, so now take the gloves off. I got my torque wrench. It's set at 18 foot-pounds. I had to borrow one because I don't have one that goes that small. Well, I used to till somebody borrowed it from me, and it didn't come back. And that happens. So thanks you to my friend Phil for lending me his smaller torque wrench. Okay, so first of all, we're going to get our ratchet. We're going to put it on the crankshaft. And I want to see the valves move. And you will. Watch them here on cylinders 1, 2, and 4. As I turn it, I just want to make sure that my valves are closed. See it just go down there on number 2. And we're coming up. And we're coming up. Everything feels good. Yeah, okay. Just back up the bus just a little bit. See that spring? Just watch that spring there. On number 3, just going down and opening that valve. I want the valve fully extended. Now I'm ready to torque the bridge. You don't do it with the valves. One valve is partly open, the other valve's partly open. That's how you bend these. And if they're the aluminum ones, you're going to snap it right in the middle. So what do we do next? I knew you'd ask. Is my socket there? Nope. Okay. So I preset my torque wrench, and going back to my manufacturer's specs here, rocker arms are set to 18 foot-pounds. And if you have an inch-pound, you can convert it. It's 216 inch-pounds for the rocker arms. So this is set at 18 foot-pounds. My big snap-on ratchet torque wrench doesn't start till 25, so I can't use it. And you don't guess. All right, so we're going to get in here, and we're going to, don't go crazy and just torque one side down. Just bring it down by hand. I always say by hand because you can feel it. So you don't break something. Just bring it down a little bit at a time, and the valves closed. Just make sure our valves are totally closed now. Now that I've put some pressure down there. So Just make sure we are closed. Okay, that one's opening. Watch for the next one, and it's just starting to press down, so I want to bring it back so that it's rocking, what we call rocking. Okay, so now I know both valves, intake and exhaust, are closed. So again, I'm not just going to crank on one side and torque it and then torque the other. No. See how loose that is right now? Because it's rocking. Now it's catching up to the other one. Just put my foot on here. Okay, we are now able to go to the 18 foot-pounds. There it is. Clicky-clack. Clicky-clack. And then I just rotate the engine one more time. Watch my valves there. This is what it takes, folks. You can throw your engine together any way you want, but you know what? I only like to do the job once and do it well. Stay focused. I'm watching my valves. There we go. We're just starting to go down, so we can back off. And they're clacking. That means both valves are closed. Check it again. It's good. 18 foot-pounds. We're good. So we're done there. Now, what do you do next? Well, it's where, so that I know that I'm good, I should be able to rotate my push rods. Make sure they spin. And they're a little bit tight. We'll see why here in a minute. I might have just some pressure on there. Okay, it's rocking. It's opening the valve. Now it's opening the opposite valve. So I'm going to go back the other way now. And just watch. My valve's opening. It is closed. It's a little tight. Just starting to rock. Okay, just make sure my lifters are down. I got a light, just double check. Always double check. Make sure that everything is as it should be. And we are right in there. It's good. It's good. The lifter's a little bit tight because it hasn't bled off a little bit yet, so we're okay. Always pays to check. Just make sure everything's good, and I will double check my torque one more time. And here's where I go down every single one of them just to double check. Even though I've torqued, it's safe to check it at this point because they're seated. And we're good. And so what I do is when I have the whole engine open, you'll see these lines here and 3 dots. 3 dots means that I haven't torqued it. Where there's a line, I torqued that one. Where there's a line, I've torqued it, so I've connected my dots. In cylinder number 1, I put a line. And I do that for me, because if for some reason someone opens the shop door and goes, "Hey, how's it going? Can I get you a jelly donut?" Yes, you can. then I know where I left off. So I don't put a stripe and connect my dots until I know I have torqued it. And that's just a habit that I was taught, was always leave yourself a trail and don't make a cookie crumbs, because we know the birds take the crumbs. You get lost in the forest, and you know the rest of the story. Yeah. Maybe not. Little Red Riding Hood, you know, Grandma, what big eyes you have, what big nose you have, and the teeth really big, the better to eat you with. That's when you run. So, yeah. So you want to make sure. Leave yourself cookie crumbs as you're building it, and then always respect your torque wrench. Turn it back to 0. That is what ruins it if you don't. So torque wrenches should be inspected and calibrated at least every 2 years. That's what I do. Every 2 years, give my wrench to the Snap-on man. No, they don't sponsor the program, but I'll tell you, I do have shares. It's right there. Just show them the toolbox. There you go. I have shares. But you know what? Good tools. My pops was a machinist, and he always said, make sure you have good tools. And we were always taught by our instructors, treat your tools as if they're gold, because they make you your living. And I will tell you, he's absolutely right. Every day at the end of shift, we had to make sure all our tools were put back in our box. All tools were put away, ready for the next day. That's how you learn. That's how you learn to be organized. So where do we go from here? Well, the next step is I get to seal up the top of the engine, put a new valve cover gasket in, and put the valve cover on, and torque. I will torque all of the bolts down to spec, and which is 8 foot-pounds. So again, you can choose to do your engine by hand and say, well, that should be tight, or you can choose to use the specifications the engine was built with, and you're doing it properly. I've put in a new coolant plug here. I put in 2 new frost plugs on the side, left the back port open because I'm going to flush the engine block later this week with the garden hose outside. The temperatures are coming up, so I can sneak it out the bay door and make the mess outside. So I want to flush the block out, the cooling system, and then I'll install, because I did find some crud in there, some sludge. I don't like it, and I don't want to run the cooling system with that sludge in there. I would rather pressure wash it out. Then I'll install a thermostat and a brand new water pump. So that pretty much brings us to the end of this segment. The next time you see the engine, we'll hopefully I got it all painted. I'm going to install that other distributor I showed you and pull this one out because it is done. I'm bewildered that and wondering, it had to run really bad. It ran, but it had to run really bad just because of this. So I will I'll just put the spark plugs into the holes now. I didn't want it to have compression while I'm trying to crank it over. So now I'll just put the new spark plugs in just a little bit by hand to make sure, again, you don't want to leave any holes, anything open where something can drop into the inside of the engine, and you plop it in and bang! What happened? Something fell into the engine. So before I even walk away from this, I would not leave an engine sitting open for nothing, because I've seen it happen where something has fallen in by accident and you weren't there to see it, and guess what happens? Engine cranks over, it fires, and it detonates, and it's all over but the crying. So you know what? You just don't get into that habit of it'll be all right for a minute. I can tell you a story about when I worked for Peterbilt. We worked in pairs. We had installed a brand new transmission in this particular Peterbilt, and I was working down below and my partner was working up top, and I heard something go clink, clank, clunk, and I was underneath. And I said, Jeff, did you drop something in the top of the transmission? No. Are you sure? I said, because I heard something go clink, clank, clunk. No, I didn't. I said, can you check? Look down inside, put a magnet inside. I'm positive I heard something go clink, clank, clunk. Long story short, we got the truck all back together, top of the shifter, everything, transmission's all closed, put outside. That was, we were on day shift that time. Put out for the driver to pick it up. He made it all the way to Virginia, and the transmission blew up. Blew a hole in the side of the transmission about this big. The dealership, nearest dealership, so now at that time, downtime for the truck was $900 a day. That was back in the early 90s. Turns out, message came back to us into the shop, to Jeff and I, that there was something in the transmission. But they weren't saying what it was. But they had to fly the truck driver home to Ontario to be with his family. It was a Thanksgiving weekend. That's right. It was a Thanksgiving weekend in Canada. They had to fly him home, then fly him back. They had to buy a brand new transmission, which was at that time, just for the casing of the transmission, was $16,000. No guts, just the case. So they bought a brand new transmission. So the following week, the big bosses were coming down from corporate, and we were to stand in a line in the shop, and they went through our toolboxes. And they said, there was a 7/16 wrench found inside that transmission. Open your toolbox. They had already talked to every tool dealer in the area. If anyone in the shop where we were working had purchased a 7/16 wrench. So my toolbox got searched, and I knew I was clear, but when they got to Jeff's, he was missing a 7/16 wrench. When I said I heard something fall in that transmission, clink, clank, clunk, Jeff had taken the cover off the top of the transmission, but he wasn't quite ready to put the shifter and the shifter housing in place, but he had that transmission wide open, and a wrench slid and went right down into that transmission, and he wasn't there to see it happen, and we could have avoided it. I said I heard something. He didn't think so, but that's why I bring you back to this. Do not leave the engine open for any reason whatsoever, because something like that can instantly happen. In fact, I have an engine that we'll be bringing here. It's a 1965 289 out of a 65 Comet. The engine has very low miles, but it's locked up. It turns and then it stops. Something fell inside that engine while it was on an engine stand. Somebody took the cover off the engine. The valve covers are on it somehow. Something has gotten into one of the cylinders. So please work clean, be sharp, make details, take notes, do all these things, and work organized, and never ever leave your engine open even for a few minutes. If you're leaving the room, cover it up. When this engine, every night, every time I'm finished with it, it gets bagged and tied off for that same reason. It wasn't my wrench, it was Jeff's. And you want to know how that story ends? He was given the opportunity to pay all the expenses for that mistake, flight to and from the gentleman's truck in Virginia, the cost of the transmission and the labor and all the expenses for that, the driver's, any expenses the driver incurred, and the $900 a day downtime, or quit his job. I think he made the right decision. He decided to pack his bags and call it a day. So don't let that happen to you. I hope you enjoy this video. Again, when I'm building engines, it's everything. Because I only want to do it one time, and if I'm doing it for you, I only want to give you my best and nothing less. So till next time, have fun, keep it under 100. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and even if you think you're already subscribed, just check and make sure that you are subscribed, because I kind of see some stuff that's questionable, and I'm a specs guy. Just make sure you are subscribed and that you hit that notification bell so you're notified when another video goes up, and you'll get to see the next phase of this motor that's going into our Rescue 97 TJ Wrangler Sport. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Have fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Well, thank you for stopping by the Car Connection Workshop right here on YouTube. Don't forget to come back and join us for another segment. So like, share, tag, and follow, and ding that bell so that you don't miss a single edition of Car Connection. So till next time, keep it under 100 and put the coffee on, because we're coming to your house.